It's about 11:15 Saturday night, July 12th. Who knows? Who gives a shit anymore? I mean, who cares what date it is? But there's something. I was having a conversation with my brother, Falcon, earlier today. If you're not following my brother Falcon, I will tag him below. Please go follow him because he's in the midst of posting a meditation series of videos that are extremely helpful. Anyway, he and I were having a conversation earlier, and we're talking about the whole Jeffrey Epstein list and all of this stuff, and the MAGA base made that the release of that information like a pillar of their existence over the last year or so, or 6 years, whatever. Why? And this ties in with all the QAnon and the cabal and Frazzle Drip and Comet Pizza and Hillary Clinton in the basement and, protect the children. Trump supporters, the MAGA base, whatever you want to label these fart huffing inbred mouth breathers, they proclaim themselves to be pro-life, totally in favor of alligator Alcatraz. They proclaim that they care about victims and they want to protect children. If the perpetrator is a Democrat, if the murderer is an undocumented immigrant, if those two things aren't met, they could give a shit about the victim. Even if those two things are met, they don't give a shit about the victim. They'll name a piece of legislation after them. But if the person who that piece of legislation was named after was murdered by her white trash boyfriend, who's a U.S. citizen, there would not be a piece of legislation named after her in her honor after her murder by her white trash boyfriend. Oh wait, she was killed by an undocumented immigrant. Let's put her fucking name on a bill. Yeah, right now. Yeah. The only reason that Republicans, the MAGA base, Trump supporters, Donald Trump's toothless army of trailer park vigilantes cares at all about the release of Jeffrey Epstein's client list is because they believe it is populated exclusively by Democrats and Hollywood types like Tom Hanks and Oprah. And I heard somebody earlier say that Beyonce, Jesus Christ on a pogo stick. How fucking dumb and gullible are you people? They never care about the victim. They only care about the perpetrator. Because they think they're all Democrats, or they think they're all undocumented immigrants. Donald Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for over 15 years. They just gloss right over that. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos and videos available very easily online of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein hanging out together with very young girls. partying together with very young girls. The MAGA base, I don't know if they don't care. I don't know if they think all of that is AI. I, I still can't entirely wrap my head around it. The only time that they care about a white woman who is murdered is if her killer is an undocumented immigrant. If her killer is a white American citizen, they don't fucking give a shit at all. They blame her. They blame her. And the only time they care about child sexual abuse victims is if the perpetrator is a Democrat or a Democratic donating business leader or somebody from Hollywood. They don't care that the president that they voted for, who was a 34-time convicted felon, who a federal judge said in an order that his conduct relative to E. Jean Carroll constituted rape. They don't care. They don't care. We've seen all of these people on the right excusing inexcusable behavior by drug addicts and alcoholics on the right. And they're like, you can't judge. You have to have compassion for people who have addiction issues. What were they saying 2, 3, 4 years ago at Hunter Biden? They voted for a convicted felon and a rapist and claimed to care about the children and claimed to want to protect women. They only care about child sexual abuse victims and women who are sexual abuse victims or are victims of murder. They only care about those victims if the perpetrator is a Democrat, if they're from Hollywood, or if they're an undocumented immigrant. If it's a white guy who was born in the United States, they could give a fuck. Hell, they'll vote for him. If the perpetrator is a white guy who was born in the United States and has money and shits in a golden toilet and wants to bang his own daughter, they will vote for that person. If the perp is brown, we need to name some legislation. They have never, ever, ever, ever cared about victims. They have only ever cared about perpetrators. Ever.